done quite a few of these now, and so we're typically here with a specific fund structure. And so we, want to make sure we understand who it is we're going to be talking to, whether they're an RIA or a family office. Because we do real estate, I want to know what exposure they may or may not have, so I'll try and research some of that, or my team will, before we meet with them. And then initiate the meeting by asking lots of questions and letting them talk a little bit about where their interests are, and then let that drive the conversation. Normally it will start with questions. Tell us a little bit about your firm. Tell us what types of, if you're a multifamily office, what does your typical family look like in terms of assets? What areas are they looking to allocate to? We offer a full range of risks, so we do everything from ground up development, which would be much higher risk, entitlement and so forth, and then building the building, to a core portfolio. And so I'll begin to drive the conversation based on the feedback I get from those questions initially, and then kind of direct the conversation that way. You can only accomplish so much in a 30-minute meeting or a 40-minute meeting. So it's important, I think, initially to build some rapport with them, and then secondly to probably have 3 messages that you want to leave them with. And for me, with our firm, we've been around since '94, so we have a long track record. So I want to make sure they know we're not a new and upstart. We've been around for multiple decades. We've navigated multiple big crises, in particular Silicon Valley based, so the .com crash, the GFC. I want them to know that we've successfully managed that uncertainty. And then, understand our track record, which we consider top docile. And so if they can understand that about us, and then our strategies, which are mainly focused on tech and innovation markets, just enough to whet their appetite to come back and say, I want a follow-up meeting, or I want to review the materials and so forth from there. So there's a couple of ways that we do that, and we do this with our existing investors even. Our structure provides some of that. So we'll talk about funds that are already closed, which means someone new just can't come in at this point, but we're still deploying capital. But what we do provide is a co-investment opportunity on items or on properties that our funds might be investing in. And so I'll dangle that out. Like, one way to get started with us without committing a full commitment to the fund might be to choose an individual property and underwrite on that. And then I always mention to them that sells out within 72 hours when we put that forward to our existing investors. But we always do hive off a small piece for prospective investors. And so if this is something, you'll have to make a decision quickly, but you're going to need to get to know us because this is a trust relationship, right? So I try and build that scarcity and that interest in an opportunity that's not maybe readily available to everyone. So that's a tough one, right? A lot of people want to give you their cards and say, just email me everything. Often it's some of these meetings, not all the time. You may not be talking to an ultimate decision maker. This might be a filtering process for them to then refer on. I'll try and corner them and get details of who it is we would need to talk to next, and see if they'll even give me the email address to copy on the materials. At a minimum, if we can fix even a time to talk in a couple of weeks while we've got them there at the table, that can be helpful. But that's not always successful either. Some people are, I feel for the investors here because they're going through a number of tables, hearing a lot of pitches and meeting with a lot of general partners, and so they're basically in a collection phase, and so we want to be mindful and respectful of that. So we typically end the meetings by, we've talked about the firm, then we've talked about whatever we immediately have on offer, and then we go back to the firm and we look at our platforms and we say, does any of this resonate for your needs now, or maybe for your, if you're a multifamily office, for your other investors and so forth. And usually we'll get them to point at something. Oh yes, we like the core strategy. Oh, I want to be in your next development or something like that. And so if we can get that point, I'm pretty sure that if we follow up with materials, we're going to get a follow-up meeting. And if we have something that's on offer, we will likely get some traction. Often, sometimes people say like, well, right now, we're over-allocated real estate or whatever, but in that case, probably don't have a near-term opportunity, but at least we've made an impression. If something changes for them down the road, maybe it turns into something. So.